there's a very important and urgent need for India's judiciary to get educated on Hindu cosmology, because if they are going to pass judgment on issues concerning temples and various Hindu practices, they should understand a lot more than they seem to at the present time. What is distinct about Hindu cosmology compared to all others is that the one divine, the one supreme person, some will call God or Lord, takes form, manifests in innumerable ways, an infinite variety of ways of coming and representing as a person in this world. So the deity, this is what we call deity, the murti in a temple that we go and worship is a living deity. This is a person sitting there and I'm having an interaction with him. It is not symbolic of somebody sitting in heaven. This is very different. The God in the Abrahamic religions remains outside the cosmos always. We can worship him, either sit in a mosque and worship him while he's out there. We can go to a church or a synagogue and worship him while he's out there. If we focus on a symbol, it's just a symbol. It's not that the God is there, but the symbol just to keep in mind who we're talking about. But in Hinduism, the cosmology says very clearly the divine is present in the cosmos. So we have a sacred murti, which means sacredness means divine presence. So when this, to bring about the divine presence, a certain process called pran pratishtha is carried out when the temple is installed, when the deity is installed. It's a piece of stone. Until there is pran pratishtha invites the deity to come and take this as their residence. So that particular deity starts living here. It is his or her home from this time onwards. Now each form, each deity has a distinct personality, a distinct lifestyle, a distinct set of habits, what they like, how they want to be approached. It's a male deity, it could be a female form, there are many male forms, there are many female forms, and each has its own character and its own persona and its own prescribed method for a person to have darshan. Darshan means I and the deity, we are having an interaction. It's like with a real person. That's what it is. In a church, you are not having darshan, you are praying to God who's somewhere else. In a mosque, you are not having darshan because Allah is not present there. Allah is present in heaven. So, for people to understand what happens in a temple, why it even exists, what is the purpose of darshan, and who are you doing darshan with, all I have just said is the minimum required knowledge that any judge, any court ought to have before they start tinkering around with our tradition. Who does the temple belong to? It doesn't belong to a state. It doesn't belong to, anybody. Other than there are people who put it together to invite this deity to live there so they can have darshan. So it's between me as a devotee and the deity that I'm having darshan with, is between the two of us. If we say that I bring this fruit, well, then that's what we bring. If the deity has a prescribed method on certain days of the week, we do certain things, we eat or we don't eat, we go with certain clothes, we don't go in certain ways. Whatever are the do's and don'ts are specific to that deity, and we respect it and we honor it because that's our tradition. There is no one monoculture applicable to all the deities. There is a uniqueness for every deity. And if you don't understand this and you don't respect this, then you are actually insulting the whole Hindu faith. Each faith has its own specific requirements. And if you want to respect the faith, you have to respect it on its own terms rather than projecting your idea of what is right. Because it is not the faith of this judge, it is the faith of the people who worship there. And the judge has to be honest enough, not so arrogant, humble enough to set aside his own ideas of faith and to judge what is going on according to the faith of the people who are involved. It is their investment. For hundreds of years, they've been donating. They are keeping up this temple. It is their deity and their right to worship the way they are prescribed according to the agamas and according to their tradition. Therefore, it's a serious violation of religious freedom to treat such a temple as a secular place, as a place of just history. It's not a place of history or a museum. That's a dead place which has no living deity. It's somebody's home. It's somebody's place of residence. Somebody we worship. So you cannot remove that sacred element and treat it like some place that is just a carving or a statue and has some nice paintings. It is not a tamasha. It is not a tourist spot. It is not for entertainment. I think this is a very important message that I hope the Indian judiciary will understand. They should invite either the Akhada Parishad or the Hindu Dharmacharya Sabha to give them a tutorial on this, or some modern guru like maybe Art of Living can come, or Chinmaya Mission, or somebody, or ISKCON, some important spiritual Hindu organization, preferably one involved in bhakti, should come and give them a kind of a tutorial. And I'm surprised when arrogant judges pass judgment without expert opinion of important gurus, acharyas, subject matter experts. They could have called some Shankaracharya. And so my request is that the Indian judiciary should get its act together, should understand the separation of religion from state and not interfere in the religious lives of Hindus. But Hindus have not opposed, not resisted this kind of intervention for a very long time, and I think it's time we did so. Namaste to all of you, and I hope you will propagate this message, spread it around to your politicians, to your religious leaders, to the media people, and get them involved.